But Oliver has been my personal friend, and I met him through a couple AI events in Philippines, and I've heard him speak through workshops and all this enterprise speeches that he's done all over Manila, and also he has trained executives in enterprise in top Fortune 500 companies. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome Welcome to Danang, to Oliver. Yay!
Thanks everyone for the warm welcome. So I'm kind of like overwhelmed with what's happening right now. This is my first time here in Danang. So I just realized that this is a very beautiful place. So just a quick question. So who among you were recently hooked up on like AI dating event, something like that? Can you raise your hand?
AI.
Can you do the question again?
Yeah, so who among you like, I think you saw Kate's post like something related to like AI, relationship and dating.
Not yet.
I think some of you saw the poster, I'm not sure.
No.
I'm sure.
The poster, yes, the
Yeah.
AI love affair, yes.
Yeah, because the AI love and technology is like, well, what I would say love and hate relationship for me. So especially right now with the fiasco happening all over the world about layoffs because of AI. So for me, it's kind of like a love and hate relationship. So before we further do, I think she already introduced me earlier, but later on, feel free to, she can actually share more about me. So without further ado, let's start. Just make sure that clicker. Okay, so we do have like a magic box. So let's say why your current AI output often sounds like a robot wearing a tuxedo. So these are some of the questions that users are like wondering, why is it that my AI is like a robot? So there's a way for me to improve my AI output? So that's one of the questions. So the problem with generic AI is basically users simply type in a basic prompt. So they're expecting like a magic that AI does everything for them. And then, of course, there's what we call like garbage in and garbage out. What it means is that the quality of your output is based on the quality of your input. So if you like give a trash input, then you get a trash output. And then similarly, we also get a soulless response. So it's kind of like nothing like you, your brand, your voice. So I just have a quick question from the audience. So who among you are content creators? If you can raise your hand. Okay, I just have a question with you. So what type of contents or niche are you usually do?
So maybe the answer is a bit of a cheat because I actually use ChatGPT to create the content. So it's around digital products in relation to living in flow.
Okay, so basically, there's a lot of content creators. Like, are you a tech reviewer or a travel content creator? So what do you usually do when you create contents?
This is new for me, so there is no usually yet.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. Actually, there are some people that already use AI, but they have that specific content creation. Like, actually, I was an aspiring travel content creator, to be honest. So something that I'm looking forward is to travel as well. And then, so going back, most of the time we spend like hours to just edit our contents, and then, of course, frustration comes in like, why is it that my output is not perfect? So we have to look into the root cause. So basically, the mistakes of people are they treat AIs like a Google search. So you just like, okay, so instead of like, I wanted to find out where I can find the best spot here in Danang. Let's say, for example, I wanted to find the best like coffee shop or spa on a specific area, but we just type in like a generic example like best spa in Danang. So most likely we're not going to get any better results at the same time. Okay, so let me just proceed. Okay, so it's kind of like hot here, so I'm sorry. Okay, so who among you heard this term prompt engineering? Okay, I'm sure some of you haven't heard or not familiar with So just to give you like a brief context, so prompt engineering is basically the instruction that we give to the AI model which the AI understands. Usually it's through a natural language. What does natural language mean? It's simply a human language. It's like we're talking to your friend, or let's say your doctor, your therapist, like asking some questions, asking some help. Like for example, even if you are, let's say, you're an aspiring traveler and you wanted to consult like a travel expert, you wanted to know which best spot in Da Nang, Vietnam, let's say, we can tour our friends. Okay, so to give a nutshell, so prompt engineering focuses on more, it's like a, what do you call this? It's more on a narrow instruction. I'll give an example. So I have a question for some of you. How many are writers? Usually you write blogs, writers. Okay, so I have a question for you. So which of like contents do you usually write? I have a question.
I'm just trying to focus on professional content. This is my the main number one goal, and yeah, to make some monetization of my expertise. So yeah, this.
Okay. Thank you so much for providing that context. So, prompt engineering is very helpful if you have all the necessary context, but we'll share that later. Now, we see a term called context engineering. So, this is kind of like a term coined by Andre Carpati, a former OpenAI founder. Okay, so who among you are familiar with Andre Carpati? So he's one of the top AI voices in the world. Now, he coined this context engineering. Now, context engineering means that this is your domain expertise. Okay, when we say domain expertise, this is your knowledge, whether you're a doctor, you're a scientist, or let's say you are a social media manager. Anything about the knowledge that you know, or let's say you've studied like, what do you call this? You studied like planting, or anything that you think that is your passion or your niche. So what does it focus with? So it focuses more on your background data. When we say background data, it could be your text, or let's say your videos. Your videos can be your data. Or even the photos that you're taking when you go on vacation. Let's say you go to, let's say, Sunworld Banahill, and you take a photo of the golden hand there. So that's also an example of your data. Okay, so to give a comparison, prompt engineering is basically the instruction that we give to the AI model to understand the context of on how it can generate the knowledge, whether we want, let's say, ChatGPT to generate an image for us or generate a code that we wanted to, let's say, we wanted to build a website. For context, basically, it's the domain knowledge or the domain expertise. I think I saw someone who say software engineer here. Okay, that's great. So for software engineers, depending on, let's say, what they're using, let's say, you wanted to build a web app. Let's say you wanted to use like TypeScript, or let's say JSON for your front end, or and then also you wanted to use like Gemini 2.5 Flash for your voice model if you wanted to build your own chatbot. But we're not going to go deeper into that because that's too technical. Okay, so so we can see the image here. So we have the prompt engineering. Let's say generate a blog post about the non-cafe culture. Focus on local specialty. Use a friendly tone. The length is 800 words. So that's an example prompt. So when it comes to context, basically the architecture or your actual domain knowledge. Let's say, for example, what is your brand, and then who's your target audience, and then also what are your examples. Let's say you have like a sample case study, and then also if you're a businessman or an entrepreneur, what are your business goals? Do you want to, let's say, reduce the churn of your business, or let's say you wanted to improve customer experience? And then also you wanted to also include your tone, whether you're like a witty person, or let's say you are a person, or let's say for example you are a very serious person, or you're just on a monotone thing. So those are some of the example contexts. Any information that can be helpful so the AI model can better understand what you're trying to ask, whether you're using Claude, ChatGPT, or even Gemini. Okay, so there's what we call an analogy. So, cafe soda. So I'm sure you've been hearing that term here in Vietnam. So just to like give a context about prompting, it's like you're walking in a new cafe. So you actually try to answer at least 10 questions. So is it hot? Is it cold? Is like the sugar level? How much ice or milk? While context engineering is basically walking into your local spot and simply saying the usual. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you went to this cafe 5 times and you've been ordering the same coffee, the same food, and then also the same dessert. And then on your 6th attempt, let's say the waiter already knows and understands what you usually order from your past orders. That's an example context. So the key takeaway here is your AI should already know exactly how you like your work delivered. Okay, so these are, for some who are not familiar, these are some of the popular AI models globally. Okay, I saw some here is already using ChatGPT. So I think I saw someone here. If you can raise your hand up, I think I saw someone. Very good. So who among you is familiar with Claude or is already using Claude? Okay. So for software engineers, I assume you're already using Claude Code, right? Okay, very good. I saw someone nodding. Okay, so both of us are also using Claude Code. Yeah. And then, I'm not sure if some of you have tried Gemini, but I'm sure when you were sent the invite, you were asked to at least subscribe or let's say open an account with Gemini. Okay, what I love with Gemini is this AI actually runs across a lot of Google products like Google Workspace, even Google AI Studio, where you can also build your own web app, something like that. Okay, so we do have a context canvas. So this is what we call like when you map your persona before your build. So let's say, for example, I've been training Kate with AI even before we got here in Da Nang. So I was asking her, okay, I have an assignment for you. You need to write in all of your ideas. Okay, let's say you wanted to build a dating app, just for example. You wanted to, I want you to list down all of your negotiables and non-negotiables. So you need to first list it down. You need to list what type of color you want your app to look like, and then the user interface, or let's say you wanted to like include like an avatar. So I asked her to list all of it, but gladly she already has all of it. Like I saw her writing those things on her notebook during the time that I was actually training her with AI, with the tools. And then also, before touching any AI tool, so that the same thing, I asked her to grab a pen and paper, and then I told her, let's say, who are you? Are you expert in marketing, or are you a freelancer that is specialized like in let's say copywriting, or let's say, are you a content creator? So if you're a content creator, what type of content are you creating? Are you like an influencer, or let's say, are you a travel content creator, or actually I was supposed to say, are you an OnlyFans creator? So yeah, I'm just kidding.
Not to me.
Okay, I was actually talking to her, I think 2 weeks ago about OnlyFans. Anyway, yeah. So the question also is, who's your audience? So before I trained her, so I was asking her, how is your level of your understanding when it comes to using these AI tools? So I already had a grasp or an idea of how she understands AI in a business perspective. And then also, you have to consider the tone. Do you prefer a tone that is more professional, or is just slightly witty, or just more in a personalized tone? So, and then of course the goal, we need to make sure we always have the goal. Let's say, for example, my goal is to, let's say, write an immersive, children's storybook that is a combination of a fantasy and also a futuristic background. So those are some of the example goals. Now I'm going to show a live demo here. So, okay, so I'm going to just show you this one. Okay, so let me just, okay, I think I need to, let me just switch this window. Oops, okay, there you go. And then I'll grab a seat. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to show you a note here since we're going to do a demo. Okay, so I actually drafted this document. Now, I drafted this so that I can build my own custom Jarvis. So this custom Jarvis is named Global Voyage AI. Okay, and then
What is Jarvis for those?
so custom Jarvis, if you're familiar with Iron Man, so it's like Iron Man's futuristic assistant. So, but since we're not yet there to be honest with you, but at least with the power of artificial intelligence, we can actually at least have our own, at least from intern to our own executive assistant. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to build your own custom AI assistants for some who are not familiar with. Okay, so these three Gemini, this is the interface of Google's Gemini, and then this is Claude. Okay, now this is Claude's web version because Claude also has a desktop version. And then this is OpenAI's ChatGPT.
So open all of those right now.
Okay, so then let's start with Gemini. So in order for you to build your own custom assistant, so all you have to do is to make sure to expand it so you can see it. Okay, so this is where we build our own custom AI assistant, which we call Gems. Okay, now the first thing that you will see here is you will see these templates pre-made by Google. You can actually show more. Now, the purpose of this pre-made templates, for example, if there's something that you think that is helpful, let's say, for example, you want a copy creator and you think that the information or the instructions already there, then you don't have to build it by yourself. But if you think that you wanted to, let's say, create your or custom your own AI assistant, then you can just click New Gem. Now, the next thing that you will see here is you will see your custom AI assistants here if you already built one. But usually, if this is your first time, you will see it blank. Okay. Now, first, let's start building a new custom assistant. Now, as you can see, this is where we can see the title, we can see the description, and then this is where we see the instruction. Now, we can see here that what are your Gemini Gems main objective and capabilities, and what style of response you wanted to do as well. So, and then we can also see this is where we can upload their knowledge. Now, what's the purpose of this knowledge? Now, usually creators or users use this as their source of truth. Why? Because by default, Gemini source data from different sources like Google search. So let's say, for example, I wanted to, let's say, create my own, let's say, travel agency custom assistant. So to make sure that my custom assistant provides the most accurate information, I have to make sure that I strictly provide a knowledge. And what types of those knowledge are? You can actually upload the file either on Google Sheets or Google Docs, which you can upload using Google Drive. This is an example. Okay. Now, let's start building gems with Gemini using this document.
So everybody can open their Gemini
Yep.
app now?
Let's open our Gemini. So think of something like you can. Okay, so you want to, let's say, build your own custom assistant based on your niche, based on your needs. So every one of us has different, let's say, hobbies, professions. Let's say, actually, when Kate and I was talking, you can actually create your own custom assistant. For example, you want it like a personalized nutritionist. And then you can also, if you, let's say, if you're like a person who's actually has these certain level of conditions or special needs, like for example, if a person has like a spectrum, like ADHD or other mental disorders like bipolar, just like me, I'm diagnosed with bipolar 1. So you can actually like craft your own, let's say, your own personal counselor. Like if you wanted to talk to someone, you can't talk to someone, but you maybe I can talk to AI about what I feel, or let's say what I wanted to, let's say, ask something that might be helpful, at least to ease my burden as well. Now, going back to Gemini Gems. Okay, so when you going back here to the big page, the first thing that you need to make sure, if usually you will see this panel, all you have to do is to click this star to expand, and then you should be seeing this gems, which is literally the gem. And then next is you will see the pre-made templates that were created by Google. So again, those templates are pre-made just in case some users actually need those templates. Sometimes, for example, I wanted to create my storybook, but instead of me creating like my own custom AI assistant or my own custom jargons to create the storybook, I already see that Google already made this customized storybook for me. So all you have to do is click this. Okay, so just have a question. So who among you got lost? Oh, are you lost? Or oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Let me walk you through. Okay. Okay, so we are here at the. Okay, take my microphone. Okay, there we go. So we are here at the main page of Gemini. So let me try to expand this screen. So, okay.
So for some people it doesn't appear there,
Oh,
but if they click the settings icon at the bottom next to the name, then there is another screen.
oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so the setting icon.
Oh, so you don't wait.
Gem Manager.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay. But if you click this, do you see the star icon?
The start, yes.
Okay. When you expand this, so you don't see this.
No,
Oh, not everyone.
But if they click the settings at the bottom, they can
Oh,
see.
maybe you can try to. Oh, there you go. That's weird. Although this is also available. Yeah. Actually, thanks. It's actually a good call out. First, maybe you can try to refresh. Let's say you can either click F5 or just go to this URL and click either enter or return for Mac users. Now, the tricky part about Google is there are times that they have been constantly updating their user interface. Even I've experienced where's this button? I was just using this 2 days ago, but right now I can't see it. Apparently they moved it to another placement. So Google is fond of doing those enhancements. So it's just a matter of time that we get used to it. So for some who does not see this gems, okay, because I'm already upgraded to Gemini Pro for Business. What you can do is you can go to settings and then you should be seeing these gems, and all you have to do is to click this. But thanks anyway for the call out. We appreciate it. Now, are we all on the same page, or everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Now, the next thing, let's go back to create a new gem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this example document. Okay, now since it asks for a description, so I can actually just copy this. This is just for demo purposes. But we just need to make sure that we have the title. So for example, if you're not sure what to build, I would suggest the best practice would be at least to write all of your ideas either on your notebook or on a document, whether you're using, let's say, Google Docs or let's say Microsoft Word. That's the first thing that we need to write in everything, just to make sure that we don't forget it. Okay, so going back to the title, so we just have to Command V for Mac users and then Control V for Windows users. Okay, what's important is the instructions. So if you go back to the document, what does this prompt instruction is? So as we can see, it has the role and the persona. It says here you are a global voyage AI, an elite global travel content creator, international tour guide, and expert compliance officer specializing in cross-border travel logistics. Your tone is authoritative yet adventurous, highly organized, and meticulously detailed. And then we can see that it has the core objectives. So your primary mission is to act as an intelligent automations hub and expert guide for the user travel projects. So you will assist in generating high-quality travel content, auditing multimodal transit routes, yada yada. And then we can see that it has the scope of expertise. Let's say, for example, that person is or that AI is specialized when it comes to visa requirements, including arrival cards. So for some of us, before we went to Vietnam, we had to fill out the arrival card before we could get before immigration allows us to enter the land. And then that also includes border restrictions. So there's a lot of context here. So it even says here that what's going to be the standard and the formatting rules. So it even says here that it has to be direct and actionable. So there's a lot of things on this prompt instruction. So the next thing I'm going to do, you can just disregard the emoticon. So anyway, I just generated it. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. Okay, just a question on one of the audiences. So who among you already had an idea of what you want to create or as a persona of your custom assistant? If you can raise your hand. Okay, for you, what's the idea of your custom assistant? So what's the persona or what's the identity?
Right, so what I did is I tried to, I have to go to visa run in about a week, so I tried to tell the AI, find me the best combination of the cheapest flight and accommodation, the best quality activities, and the best overall value, and when to get your guide, when to go Asia, read the reviews, and only filter for 4.5. So I gave him a series of very detailed instructions, and it came out with a decent results on going to Bangkok and gave me everything. And I chose that based on the research that it did, so it worked pretty well.
Okay. Thank you so much. What's your name again?
Diego?
Okay, thank you, Diego. So Diego actually demonstrated a very good example of what we call context engineering. So he actually put in all of the ideas like the requirements, the constraints, for example, the format, what are the things that the AI needs to actually produce, like the output, and also what are the things that the AI should not do at the same time. Okay, now going back to the demo, I'm going to paste this system instruction. Okay, now I know that I actually share this knowledge. Again, this is optional. So depending on what type of task you want your own, let's say your own custom assistant to do, whether you want like this custom assistant to strictly adhere or strictly follow a specific knowledge, all you need to make sure is you already have that knowledge available. So that knowledge can be documented either on a Google Docs or on a Google Sheets. Or you can even like write your own SOP or standard operating procedure. Now, what we can see here is this is for software engineers or for developers. This is what we usually call a sandbox environment. So this is where we test like the prompt. For example, if we think that the prompt instruction, let's say we need to change something or we need to tweak based on the test response that we got, so we can actually use this. Now, for demo purposes, the next step would be to save this. So I'm going to adjust this for you. Okay, so this is where you can see save. So for me, like creating a custom assistant using Gemini Gems is at least one of the easiest or easier tasks for me to do compared with like creating your own custom GPT. Now, how do we access your own custom AI assistant using Gemini Gems? So going back, if we go back to the new chat, so if we go back to Gems, you just have to click Gems either on the settings or on the left panel. So this is where you can see all of the gems that you have created. So you can either share this gems from, let's say for example, you wanted to share this gem to some users. Let's say you wanted to either, let's say, share this to anyone that has this link, or you wanted to share this on a specific user. So all you have to do is to type their email, and then you should be good to go as well. Okay, so are we able to catch up with the gems, or some are still lost? Okay, are we good? There's some question.
I just want to ask a question. Do you use the voice prompt a lot because it's a lot easier to work with, or do you mainly type out if you're doing things?
Yeah, that's a good question. For now, as we noticed, there's no option to create a custom gems using a voice prompt at the moment. So as you can see, there's no voice prompt. But you can use the voice prompt if we go to the main chat, which is this one, or let's say if you go to your gem, we can actually see if there is one. Apparently there is, but if you wanted to, let's say, create your own custom assistants with Gemini using like a voice prompt, at the moment, it's not yet available. But I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers that it will be available in the future, so it will be very convenient. Sometimes I'm also very lazy when it comes to typing. I'm guilty of that. Me and Kate are actually, we get along because we're both lazy when it comes to typing. Yeah. Okay, so this time let's try Claude. Okay, now how do we create a custom assistant using Claude? The first thing that you need to make sure is to look for projects. So if you think that you can't access it, open this sidebar. Okay, now who among you do not see this projects? Okay, so you don't see the project? Okay, now there's possibility why you don't see project on Claude. So if you are on a free version, most likely you may not see it. So that's one of the caveats that Claude has. Unlike with Gemini, even if you're using a free version, you can actually create your custom AI assistant. And then if you just, for visual purposes, I'm still going to show how to create a custom AI assistant using projects. Now, first thing you need to do is to just click projects. Similar with Gemini Gems, you will see below, if you already created your own previous custom AI assistant or your projects, you will see it here at the bottom. But if you don't see anything, let's say you see it blank, most likely you haven't created anything yet. Now, the difference with Gemini earlier and Claude is Gemini or Google has created a pre-filled custom AI assistant for some users that can use. But for Claude, you won't see it. And I hope in the future they have this feature that Claude has like a pre-filled template that users can use. Let's say I'm too lazy to create my own. Yeah, I admit that I'm also like that as well. Okay, now, in order for you to create your own custom assistant, all you need to do is to click new projects. So the first thing that you will see is the question what you are working for. So all you have to do is just paste a title. So for demo purposes, I'm going to use this same example and then, okay, so this is actually the description. So I pasted the title. So it says here that what are you trying to achieve? Now, as an example, I'm also going to use this as a title. So let's go back to Claude Projects. Okay, so this is what you will see. So it says yours global voyage AI specialized in elite global travel content creator. Now you will see the three dots here. You can actually also edit here. Now you see the description. Now what's the next thing that we're going to do is to actually put the instruction. So where do we locate this? Now, similar with Gemini, Claude also sometimes do some updates with their user interface. So sometimes it gets confusing. So what I usually do is I just pull all of it and test it. I know it's very confusing, but most likely we just play around it. That's it. So before, when I was creating this custom assistant using Claude before, it should actually pop up like a box where I should paste my system instruction. However, they actually moved it here. So all you have to do is to click this plus button. So for demo purposes, I'm still going to use the same prompt instruction. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Command, oh sorry, let me just repeat this again. Okay. Okay, I have a question for the audience. For some, are we lost in Claude or are we able to follow? Although, except for the ones that does not have access. I think somebody raised their hand behind. So I assume that most of us, except for the ones who does not have access yet, was able to follow. So I'm going to copy this instruction and paste it here. And then save instruction. Okay, so similar with Gemini Gems, you can upload your own knowledge here. Now, same concept, let's say for example, if you want your custom AI assistant to strictly, let's say, follow a certain guide or instruction to ensure that it does not misinform the output, so you can upload the knowledge. But it doesn't mean that it's required. Because some users ask, is it required for me to upload the knowledge? Basically, say yes or no. It's a case-to-case basis. It would depend on what type of task you want your AI assistant to create. Let's say, for example, you want that custom AI assistant to follow a certain guideline when it comes to, let's say, providing information related to, let's say, visa information. Let's say the visa information is specific for Vietnam. Let's say visa information related to digital nomad visa. So every country has their own version of digital nomad visa, and it varies. Let's say, for example, this country can give us, let's say, 1 year digital nomad visa. Some countries may grant, let's say, 6 months. So it depends. And then when you click this, what you will notice is you can upload files using Google Drive. For some developers who are into coding, usually they use GitHub. So for information, GitHub is actually a repository of the code base and file for developers. Let's say, for example, developers wanted to, let's say, deploy or ship their web app to a different platform. So that's where they actually store GitHub. And then for Notion, this is actually a project management tool. So who among you are familiar with Asana, ClickUp? Okay, I think I see it, Monday.com. Okay, so for some, Notion is actually a similar tool. And then you can also add text content, or let's say, for example, your knowledge is saved as a PDF file. So you can actually just click this and upload your document from your device. So this is just optional depending on what type of task you want your own AI assistant to do. Next is, let's proceed with ChatGPT. Okay, so similar with Claude, the catch between these two versus Gemini is the custom GPT is available for Plus and Pro users. If you are on a free version, most likely you might not see this feature. But for demo purposes, we're still going to show it, so for future reference as well. So how do we go to building our own custom assistant using ChatGPT? The first thing we need to make sure we expand the left sidebar. Now, for paid versions, so you should be seeing these GPTs. Okay. Now, how do we build? All you have to do is to go to explore GPTs. Now, if you notice here, you see these GPTs. Basically, those are the custom assistants that I've built like a couple of weeks and months before. So there's a lot of it. So all you have to do is, if we go back to the main chat, is open the sidebar, and then make sure we scroll down here, and then you should see this Explore GPTs. And then click Explore GPTs. Now, what are the things that we're going to see in the GPTs? Now, usually we will see GPTs that were published by different creators. Okay, so for some regions, as far as I remember, some people monetize their own GPTs, which means they make money out of it. But for some countries like the Philippines, unfortunately, we don't have that type of monetization. So I hope we have it in the future, because I also wanted to make money creating my custom GPTs to sell it to other users as well. Now, these are some examples. So there are some custom GPTs or custom AI assistants that were created or curated by OpenAI's ChatGPT, and then there are some GPTs were curated by other users. So we can see, let's say, by AIResearchPlus.com, and then there are some, let's say, research and analysis that was curated by AIEveryday.net. Now, similar with Gemini Gems, these are pre-made custom assistants, but the difference is these are created by both OpenAI and also independent users, just like us. So let's say, for example, I wanted to, let's say, learn about investing in crypto, trade, investment, and stock, and I see this one. So I have the option to either create my own or just use this. Okay, so let's say, for example, I wanted to use this existing custom GPT. All I have to do is to, if we go back, all you have to do is to at least just click this once and then start chat. Okay, so as we can see these messages here. So these are like pre-made messages, like for example, if you wanted to begin. So similar, well, how you ask someone a question, similar thing is we need to make sure that we have like the role, the task, the format, the examples. So remember, because there are things that are nuanced. I'll give you an example. Let's say the Spanish language. So for Spanish, there are some differences between Spanish from Spain and Spanish from other Latin countries. Similar with Bahasa in Southeast Asia, Bahasa Malaysian, Bahasa Indonesia. So there are some differences. So that's why we need to make sure we provide examples, so to make sure that the AI model or our custom AI assistant understands the context of our instruction. Okay, so let's go back to creating custom GPTs. Now, you can actually explore more here. Like, there's a lot, there's even like an image like generator, which is DALL-E. If you wanted to create your own logo, you can explore it. But if you wanted to create your own, all you have to do, if you see this red button which says create, all you have to do is click this and then create. Now, similar with the other two, Claude, Gemini, you will see this chat box. This is where you can test your prompt instructions. So the purpose of this box here is to make sure that, let's say, if you think that there was a mistake on the instruction and you feel that, hey, the output seems to be like odd or something's like not right. So you have a way to at least edit your instruction and then retest it again. Okay, so where do we fill out these information? All you have to do is to click to configure. Okay, so for some users might get intimidated with this because like custom GPT is like a little bit more complex for the average daily users because compared to custom GPT, Gemini Gems is like a little bit more easier to create. And also for me, it's like kind of like user-friendly as well because of the user interface. Now, same example, we're going to use the same instruction. So Global Voyage AI. Okay, so let's go to the name or the title. And then for testing and example purposes, I'm going to use the role and persona as the description. Okay, so as we can see, it says here, GPT description cannot be longer than 300 characters. So what's the key learning here? So each of these platforms have their own requirements. So some platforms, for example, Gemini can allow us to, let's say, write a description for 300 more characters. Some platforms or some tools does not allow you to create more than 300 characters. So all we have to do is to make sure to reduce or let's say make it shorter. So just for example, I'll make it shorter. I'll just delete some of the content here since this is just for the description. What's important is our system or the actual instruction that our AI assistant understands. So same with the first two tools that I've used earlier, I'm going to just copy this and paste it. So let's go to, okay. So I already copied and pasted the instructions. So conversation starter, basically this is just what you will see on the chat box. If you notice earlier, there are 3 messages, and one of them I clicked it. That's an example of a conversation starter. But you're not required to fill out the conversation starter because these are optional. Similar with Gemini Gems and Claude Projects, you can also upload files. Now, the only difference here is when you're creating like your custom assistant using a custom GPT, you won't see an option for you to upload other formats. Let's say, for example, it only allows us to upload files from your device. Unlike with Gemini Gems or even Claude Projects, you can actually upload files from Google Drive. And what's amazing with Claude is you can also upload sources from Notion as long as it is connected. Now, we can see the capability. So let's say, for example, you can, if you just want to, let's say, focus on a specific knowledge, you can actually disable web searches. What it means is that your custom assistant will not get the answers from different sources like Bing.com, Google search, or even other websites. So it will strictly follow the knowledge that you have uploaded. And then these other two, let's say for example, the canvas is, it's like an extra window where you can actually edit the text. So it's up to you if you wanted to enable it or disable it. For image generation, usually users or creators use it if they want to create their own custom assistant specialized in generating, let's say, photos of, let's say, celebrity memes, or let's say if they're like a social media manager and they're actually tasked to creating, optimizing, and managing their clients or even their business social media posts, aligned with their branding, their tone. Usually they use this. And then for actions, as we can see, these are optional. Usually these are being used by developers. So this this is like a code, if you've seen a code like a script. So I can actually share you an example. I'm going to go to inspect, but just for example, I'm just going to use it. So if we go to elements, so this is an example of a code. This is an HTML code. But then again, if we go back here, if you don't do coding, then you just have to disregard this page. Now, similar with the other two platforms that I showed earlier, you can also test your prompt instruction here. Okay, so if you think that, let's say, you're satisfied with your test, all you have to do is to click create. By the way, before we forget, ChatGPT can also allow us to select which models. So what it means is that if you prefer like a faster response, you can select instant. But if you prefer like a more capable, like more complex, and then more accurate, then you can use thinking mode. The catch there is it consumes more resources. So there are times that when we ask, let's say for example, we've been using ChatGPT for the last 6 hours, and then it will say that you have reached your limit, and then you can use it after this certain hour. So that's what we call rate limits. Now, there's a question here. Why is it that there's a rate limit if they can make it unlimited? That's a very good question. Now, the reason for that is these AI tools are consuming resources from cloud services and also AI infrastructures like from OpenAI, whether it's a DeepSeek or let's say Google DeepMind or let's say Anthropic. And then those companies are using GPUs, usually powered by NVIDIA, and those GPUs are consuming electricity and then also consuming water as well to make sure that these machines are properly ventilated. And then since those resources are costly, that's why those rate limits are implemented to make sure that as much as possible, almost everyone can use it fairly. But of course, if they're subscribing to a much more expensive subscription, whether a Pro or Plus that costs about, for example, Claude costs $100 if you're opting to Claude Max, and then ChatGPT Pro roughly costs about $200 per month for the Pro version, because the Plus version costs about $20 per month. And then, if I remember, Google AI Ultra costs roughly similar with ChatGPT Pro. But for some users who does not have enough funds, so they settle to Chinese LLMs or Chinese AI models like DeepSeek or Quen. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this by clicking create. So similar with Gemini, I have the option to either share this with anyone with a link or share this with a GPT store if my location permits that I can monetize this, or if I just want this custom GPT to make sure that I am the only person who has access to this. So I can actually turn this on to make sure that anyone with a link that can access it. Okay, so what's the next thing? The next thing is we're going to try this. So let's say, for example, I'll give you an example. Okay, so can you hear me? Let's say, I'll give an example. I am a Filipino citizen and wants wanted to travel to, let's say, I'll give a country, let's say South Korea. Can you give me all the requirements I need to comply before I travel? Okay, so using the same question, I'm going to ask Gemini Gems for all the requirements. Similar with Claude, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Claude for the same thing. I'm just going to use like the lighter model, so just I don't consume it. Okay, so this is the link that you can actually share if you wanted to share your custom GPT to other users. Then I'm going to copy and paste the same question. Okay, so it says here that visa status requirement. So I'm required to get a tourist visa C39 as a Filipino citizen. There's also a mandatory physical arrival card that I need to comply as well. So which means that my custom AI assistant is already providing me all the necessary information about visa requirements. Like it even says here that Visa Simplification Program, the Embassy of the Republic of Korea and the Philippines has extended the document simplification profile, which means that my custom AI assistant is already aware if there are any updates related to visa policies. Okay, similar with Gemini, so we can see here that Claude is also providing us, let's say, the passport validity. Let's say I have to make sure that my passport is valid for more than 6 months, and then also I need to secure a visa entry. For that, at the same time, let's say, for example, like what's mandatory, I need to, let's say, apply for their travel authorization. So it actually lists all the requirements. It even says here that critical restriction and warning flags, let's say, if I bring money more than $10,000, I have to declare it with customs. And then if we go to ChatGPT, my custom assistant with ChatGPT, it's saying here that similar, I have to make sure that my passport is valid for 6 months. And then I need to make sure that I have at least the 1 to 2 blank visa papers. And then also, my passport needs to be in good condition as well. So mostly they're aligned with the requirements of like what I need to make sure before I travel to South Korea. Okay, it even says here, like for example, before going out, because I'm not sure if you heard in the Philippines, there's what we call like a horror story or an immigration horror story. What it means is that, for example, I'm a Filipino citizen. Before I get into the plane, I have to go through immigration. Immigration asks us a lot of questions. It's like we're being interrogated. That's the sad part. And then some travelers got offloaded, so which means they were not able to travel. They need to comply with certain requirements. So that's how very strict it is in the Philippine immigration. So just to give you a context. So that's why ChatGPT is already telling me, okay, if I'm employed, I need to make sure at least I have prepared my certificate of employment, or if I work in the government, I need to make sure that I already have my travel authority prepared as well. So it's like your custom AI assistant is already giving you all the things that you need. Like for example, before you travel, what are the documents that you need to present? You need to make sure that your passport is in good condition and it's also valid as well. Okay, so I just have a quick question. So who among you was able to create at least your own custom assistant, at least in one of these 3 platforms? Okay, good. So first off, I'm sure most of us have access to Gemini Gems. Like what I've shared earlier is that the custom GPT and then also the Claude Projects are available mostly on Plus and Pro users or for Max users. I know it's kind of like expensive, but what I did was invested on these tools. And the fact that it's in the Philippines, our average income has like a disparity compared to like developed countries, but we're also being charged in US dollars plus 12% back. So that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing that can happen in the Philippines. If you work there, you're earning the average income, but you also pay in US dollars. So just to share, like some tourists, like it's cheaper for them because like they earn in US dollars. But if you work there and you earn in peso, it sucks to be honest. Yeah, just sharing. But anyway, we're going to reserve at least 3 questions after this session. And then I can actually, if you have questions, I can actually still entertain questions related to this after this session. Let's continue with the slides. So I'm going to go to my slide. Yes, it can. Actually, there's a question. Does the custom GPTs build a web app? It depends. So, like for example, if you're, let's say for example, you are an aspiring web creator, then you can actually build one as well. And then I actually created this image along with Kate. So this is actually Kate's idea, and then I just generated it. So for like visual purpose, so like your custom AI assistant can be like this person. So let's say it can actually help you when it comes to like your content and sort of curation, personalized remote work spot. I'm sure because a lot of us are actually working remotely. So as a digital nomad myself as well, so this is something that I have already embraced. Like if your custom AI assistant can also serve as your travel and compliance digital connectivity before you cross over before you cross border to another country. So you can do a lot of things. You can actually like create different custom assistants depending on your niche, depending on your need. Now, just for best practices, so the first thing that we need to actually make sure is that the first step is, of course, we need to understand where do we create our custom AI assistant. Do we want it to create it in OpenAI's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude or Gemini? Let's say, for example, if I'm on a tight budget, I would probably, let's say, to Gemini. But if I have at least a budget, and then I'm also, let's say, building on more complex tasks, I would probably, let's say, up to Claude. For some, especially for developers. So I'm sure some developers here are already using Claude as well. And then step 2 is to make sure that whenever we have this instruction, we need to make sure that we have all the necessary relevant context, like the role, the persona of our custom AI assistant, the format, examples. Let's say, for example, in the format, we wanted, let's say, our custom assistant to respond, let's say, in bullet points, or if these are steps, it has to be in numbers. And then also, we need to make sure that it has examples as well to make sure that the AI understands these difference or nuance. Step 3. So let's say if you want a strict answer, let's say you wanted to make sure that your custom AI assistant is specialized on a certain topic or a certain field, you need to make sure that you upload your knowledge. So where does this knowledge come from? So it can be either you created your own SOP or standard operating procedure on a Google Docs, or let's say all of the data that you have is stored on a Google Sheet. So those are examples. And then also step 4 is, of course, the testing. So just to give you a context, so every time that we do something, there's always a first and a second time. So the first time we try it, there's always a mishap or there's an error. Okay, so just a quick question for some of our software engineers here. Who among you believe that before you were able to perfect or improve something, you have to go through a lot of trial and error? Okay, there you go. It's because nothing is perfect. So in order for us to be able to determine the capabilities and limitations, we need to make sure to try it. That's the first thing that we need to understand is to try it. Sometimes we get intimidated on what we see. It's okay, it's normal. There's always fear. There's always like what we call this sometimes there's a disbelief that you question yourself, can I do it? Of course, it's normal because we're a human being. But for me, I decided to I think I have to try it instead. Whether I fail or not, it doesn't make a difference. What's important is I tried it. Especially coming from someone who has disability like me. So I'm sure that everyone can do it. All we have to do is to try it, and then if we fail or if we make a mistake, that's okay, that's fine. As long as we take note of those mistakes and then come back to what are those key learnings are. That's actually an example of how we actually demonstrate lifelong learning. Just like here, when we're traveling to different countries, we learn a lot. So these are some of the example workflows. Let's say, for example, you're a content creator, so you're actually fond of creating like YouTube videos. Let's say, for example, you are a tech reviewer. So who among you is familiar with Marquis? Marquis, the YouTuber who reviews like mostly the phones, like iPhones or let's say Android phones. I think his name is Marquis Houston, right? Okay, yeah. That's an example of like a YouTube creator who can use a content engine. Let's say, for example, Marquis wants to make sure that his custom assistant can upload a single YouTube transcript prompt for its custom assistant. Okay, so let's say, for example, us digital nomads. Okay, before we cross border to another country, because especially here in Southeast Asia, it's easier for us to cross coming from Vietnam either to, let's say, Thailand or Cambodia, and then from, let's say, you come from Thailand and you cross border to Malaysia, and then after Malaysia you go to Singapore. You can actually, let's say, make sure that you already have your own custom AI assistant ready that is specialized when it comes to like visa and travel requirements. And then also for harsh VCs, or if you're, let's say, you wanted to pitch something to a venture capitalist, let's say you already have an idea, you have a business, you already identified what is your business outcome, what problems you're trying to solve, then you can build your own custom assistant that can actually help you upload your pitch deck and instruct the AI to adopt the persona of a ruthless Silicon Valley investor, which you can use it to practice how to pitch your idea. Okay, so for context canvas, so the next thing that before we build, so we need to make sure we map out our ideas. So like what Kate and I did, so we make sure we write it down, whichever we're comfortable with, whether you wanted to write it down on, let's say, on a Google Sheet format, or let's say you wanted to write down on your own notebook. So just to give you an idea, sometimes what I do is, in a notebook, I actually manually draw the things. All the ideas that's coming in my mind, I draw it. And then what I do is I take a photo using my Gemini, and then I ask Gemini to translate those ideas into a prompt instruction. And then after that, if I wanted to, let's say, I wanted to build a web app, I use Gemini to create a prompt using that photo, and then Gemini will craft a prompt instruction for me, and that prompt instruction is the one that I use to Claude Code to build me a web application. So that's just an example use case. Okay, so like what it said, so your custom AI assistant can also serve as your brain. Not just a brain, but it can also serve as not just a tool, but also your partner, and also an extension of your cognitive abilities. Okay, let's say for example you're a psychiatrist, or let's say you're specialized when it comes to like psychology, and for example you wanted to help people use AI as their, at least in terms of like counseling. So all of your knowledge, all of the things you've learned in terms of psychology, even case studies, you can upload it through a knowledge and use it for your own custom AI assistant as like a psychology specialist. And then of course, understand who your audience is, who you are. Let's say for example, you're a freelance designer, and then are you a person who's actually like in a more professional tone? Do you use like corporate jargons like move the needle? There's just one thing that I want to share. So I remember when I was working, the team says here that, hey, can you move the needle to this? At first I don't understand what it means. So I told myself, what the hell is that? Then later on I understand that, okay, they want me to expedite the process. So, okay, that makes sense. And then what's your goal? So is it you want your custom AI assistant to, let's say, craft an image for you that you can use on your social media post? Or you want your custom AI assistant to, let's say, create your travel itineraries? So depending on what type of persona your custom AI assistant would be. So this is just a sample template that maybe you can use. Now, you can use this template either if you're creating like your own custom AI assistant, or if you're just using the regular standalone chatbot that I shared earlier. So when we say app, what it means that it is the role. Okay, so I think there should, okay, there you go. So this is the role. And then for, it means that it could be either you as the person or individual, or the company if you have the business. And then your primary goal is, let's say for example, I wanted my custom AI assistant to, let's say, write me a storybook or a children's storybook with a science fiction and a fantasy combined with it. And then the tone, let's say, I want the tone to be more friendly for children. And then it says here, under no circumstance, this is what we call a negative prompt. For some users or some people, they consider it as a negotiable. Let's say, for example, you're doing a research. Just a quick question for the audience. Who among you are specialized in research and development? Or let's say any type of research, whether it's okay, so just a question, what type of research are you doing in a daily basis?
I do data analysis, and sometimes I need to research papers and stuff like that. And yes, I need to make sure that he doesn't invent sources, website links, and all sort of stuff. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to give an example, sometimes I use deep research. Let's say, for example, if I'm conducting like a market analysis, let's say, for example, I wanted to understand what's happening with the job market right now. So let's say, for example, I wanted to make sure that my custom assistant does not search for contents coming from user-driven platforms like Reddit, Quora, Wikipedia, and I wanted to make sure that my custom assistant only pulls data from trusted sources, for example, CNBC, Harvard, Oxford, or any trusted research contents. And then as well, some users, especially if they're let's say working on a certain complex task, they use a certain knowledge to ensure that their AI assistants does not hallucinate. Now, who among you already heard hallucination? Or just a question, who among you heard hallucination the first time? If you can raise your hand. So just to rephrase my question, who among you is not familiar with the term hallucination? Okay, so for some, like...
For computers or in general?
Well, hallucination in okay, good question. Okay, hallucination in the context of artificial intelligence. Okay, so for some who are not familiar, hallucination in the context of artificial intelligence is the AI is giving us response. It's very confident and it thinks that the answer is right. Unfortunately, it's either half truth or it's totally incorrect. That is an example of hallucination. Let's say, for example, you saw the AI model that it provided you this answer, but on using your gut feeling or your critical thinking that you think that, hey, I don't think this is right, and then you ask the AI model, okay, I manually checked this, I saw this content or this research paper, this is what it says, but you said that this is the answer. Why did you say this? And then suddenly, let's say ChatGPT will say, you're right. That's the most common thing. You're right. I made a mistake, something like that. At least the AI model is, let's say, at least honest of that he made a mistake. Some people are not honest. And to be honest, some people are gaslighting us as well. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Even in relationships, sometimes our partners would gaslight us and does not admit that they made a mistake. But at least our AI assistant is at least honest that he made a mistake. Okay. Okay. So I think okay. Oops, I think it's going backward. Okay, so I think okay, so this concludes the slide presentation, but later on we'll go to the Q&A. We just wanted to show you something. We actually built 3 platforms with the power of artificial intelligence. So actually, like I mentioned earlier, I've been training Kate with AI fluency like roughly 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then she already has all of her ideas. And then I'm actually going to show you an example, but she will explain some of this to you. Okay, so this is what we call I am tethered. So just to give you like a brief context, this is not the typical dating app like Tinder or Bumble. So for me, this is like a premium dating app because I wanted to make sure that I get the right person as much as possible. Okay, so this is currently on alpha testing, which means that this is currently on a prototype. But because of everything Kate's idea, so she was able to build this. The fact that her niche is more into marketing, business development, and customer success at the same time. So to give the credit, I would like to call on back Kate to share more about what she has built.
Well, okay. A little background here. I don't know if anybody's been tired of dating apps or has dating fatigue syndrome. I haven't been on dating apps for 3 years or so. And because I meet a better person online, I think, or in person. But for those who are always traveling and would like to have deeper connections and give chance to love and intentional loving, I've created something that maybe help you find a better match for you based on your personality, your lifestyle, possibly your psychological, your persona, which to say, like, if you're familiar with Carl Jung, his philosophy, there's some of that elements in there to know what archetype. It's getting deep there, but we'll make it more user-friendly so that everybody can understand it in layman's terms. So basically, this is just about talking to you, so don't ignore all those responses. So that's my goal. I felt like people could find more intentional love, and it's about time that you find a good person to match with instead of the unlimited swipes that you get and then nothing comes out. I don't know if you have your thumb gets what is that? Carpal tunnel syndrome. if that makes sense. But it's still in progress. We're not selling here. We just wanted to show and maybe have the community help give some input on how your dating has been, and if you wanted to have an input on maybe your worst and best experiences that we can incorporate in a new lifestyle dating app. And another one that we built is I've been in Da Nang and I go to communities in Manila, and I felt like there's so much going on all the time, and I miss some of the events because there's 20 other chat rooms you have to go to. So I have kind of thought of an all-access global pass.
The community calendar.
Oh, sorry. We start first with a community calendar where organizers can upload their events.
Yeah. Actually, that's for the admin users, but for organizers, they can actually request for it.
Can I ask a question? What's the difference between like Meetup, Couchsurfing, and every other event aggregator app?
This one is, like in the all WhatsApp groups, there's several offering yoga, some are offering the AI workshops all in one day, maybe same hours. My community calendar, the one that I wanted would each hour would have like, if it's happening today, there's a AI workshop and at the same time yoga somewhere else. So we'd have a button or a color-coded circle. It would say there's a yoga happening, so that would be green color, meaning for fitness, and AI would be probably a red. AI tech events would be a red button. So you can see all in 1 hour. There's a green and red button that same hour, and you will see that there's something happening. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And the reason sometimes schedules overlap, let's say for example, some organizers post, let's say, an AI workshop event at 6 p.m. and then there's another organizer, let's say, post an event, let's say, crafting event on the same day in the same hour as well. So at least if it's color coded, it's easier for users to, let's say, let's say view it in a glance, what the events look like on that day.
But this is still in progress. But I just thought it would help organize for me. Like when I go, I probably miss a biohacking chat yesterday, but I had a free time because I came from another event and I missed that 1 hour that I could have used for a biohacking event. Yes.
I just have an idea because I also feel it's a lot of information. Why don't you connect it with your WhatsApp community, let it read all your messages, and then create the event in your calendar?
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible, but
Yeah.
this is an idea.
That's good. That's why we're bringing this up and we get feedback from you.
Yes, how are you like if you're monetizing this? Because like I would say the problem is here is monetization. If it's free, obviously people would like to use it, and organizers would like to use it. But then if it becomes, if you're an organizer and you post events, if it becomes monetized, if they have to pay for it, they will not use it. They will continue the WhatsApp.
Right now, I just wanted to give it as a free service to the community, and then we'll see what comes up.
The moderation is done by AI, or is it some
As
person?
AI with human in the loop. That would be me, and maybe I'll hire a virtual assistant and all that. Yes. Yeah.
Funding.
Yeah, that's okay. It's something I kind of wanted to create and see how it goes.
Yeah, most likely time will come that we will go into that direction as well, especially when there's going to be more users coming in. And then there's one app that Kate built. This is what she calls All Access Global Pass. So for some users who are familiar with Agoda, Klook, Trip.com, similar like yeah, go ahead.
So basically that we were talking about the calendar and the buttons only, but now this shows in one city, like the events that are happening. And if you're familiar with an app called ETGO, where in low, I don't see it here in Ghana, but if you're in low season hours or least busy hours of the restaurants, they give discounts. Eventually, hopefully, some restaurants will be open to that, so that they will have more people coming in even in these. I know Vietnam is already cheap. I hate to do that to them, but maybe they want business certain hours. They still offer happy hours.
Like what we mentioned earlier, these platforms are still on alpha versions, still in prototype, so there's going to be a lot of improvements. So yeah, go
So
ahead.
basically, what the events are that will be fed by organizers could probably be propped up there with visuals for besides only the one-page community calendar for the overall view, and then you go in there to be able to see like what is the visual of the event. Because everybody posts a picture when they post an event, typically, right? Yes.
I'll ask a question because obviously you built the functionality out to source these things, but I think the challenge is there's been, I know in the now 3 or 4 events platforms. It's not building the functionality; it's getting people to adapt it. So from an AI point of view, is there a strategy that you would use in terms of user onboarding, particular platforms to target that might be valuable? Because AI is getting very capable at creating the functionality to do something, but it's still getting people, as the lady at the back said, to adapt that over a free model. Where I think that's probably the challenge that maybe I'd like to ask if there's
Yeah, I think organizers themselves will basically tell their users to use it because they're getting free advertising. Organizers are getting the free advertising to post on the community calendar, so it's an overall view instead of everybody belonging to 20, 30 chat rooms and then finding out which events they're offering. So that's a start, but I'm open to, I'm sure there are more ideas out there, and please feel free to send it my way, our way. Yes.
Kate will be here for
Yeah.
a longer period of time, so definitely you'll get more chance to talk to her as well, since I'll be returning to the Philippines next week. And she has...
Yeah, so
she's going to
please
offer more.
collab with me, help me, let's build this together. I think Da Nang is a great pilot city for something like this, the dating app and the community global all access global pass. So you had the question?
I was just wondering if it's like only for Da Nang or is it more?
For now, it's Da Nang as the city, and we are definitely wanted to build it with other founders, ambassadors who want to build in different cities. A little background, I do events in Manila. I belong to an organization called Internations. Internations has 5 million members from all over the world, and there are just a bunch of expats that live in different countries and even locals that wanted to connect with expats. So it's a platform. And each city has its own ambassador. And I have a pool of ambassadors already that can build the same community, but better using a platform like this. But still in the works, so I know we have more questions, and we'll be happy to hear that and listen to your thoughts about this. But passing this on now to Oliver, thank you guys for giving us time to present our what's in the works, and all your AI questions, please. Not me.
Yeah. Same thing. If you have relationship questions, I'm not the right person.
I'm not the right person either.
The right person if you have questions. Let's see, how to date a Filipina, something like that. But anyway, I'm sure that there are questions from your audience about what we demoed earlier. Yeah, sure.
I have a general question about.
I'm sorry.
I have a general question about like the 3 softwares you showed us. Like for you, which one is your favorite and why?
Yeah, good question. If it's like user friendliness, it's Gemini. Because so first is the user interface, the functionality. Like if you notice earlier, it's only asking for the title, the description, the system instruction, and then if you wanted to add a knowledge. for the rest like Claude or the custom GPT, sometimes users get intimidated because there's a lot of function, a lot of features. I believe it's just depending on how we get used to it. Like for me, I'm already used to using these three tools because I've been using it for quite some time. In fact, I'm already building with AI. If I can actually show you, I actually built a sample platform, what we call like enterprise AI restructuring. So what I did, I built with AI for some developers, software engineers, they are already familiar with Claude Code. So this is actually a research tool. I built this using Claude Code. What I did was I used Gemini for planning all the ideas. Like for example, what type of user interface I wanted to use, whether I wanted to use TypeScript, .json, which AI model do I want to use. So everything, all the context. But anyways, since it's a different topic, but I'm just going to just show you a sneak peek. In fact, you can actually, let's say for example, you can use this Generate Insights since it's powered by B6 V4 Flash. So where does the AI gets all the data? So what I did was I used a research document coming from a PDF file. So I asked Claude to put a guardrail to make sure that it only strictly answer questions based on the knowledge I provided. I even included like a map here. Let's say for example, what's happening on the AI space in the US. So if you use the map here, it says here, it's showing us about technology layoffs. And then if we go to, let's say, go to Saudi Arabia, what it will show us is, it's actually, they're saying that they're doing like, initiating a $100 billion project spent with AI localization. And then if we go to, let's say, the Philippines, what's happening with the business process outsourcing, which means that artificial intelligence has potential when it comes to employing Filipinos in terms of like, because the BPO, if you were not aware, so BPO or business process outsourcing, it's basically like a type of business where companies outsource their operation to a third party. Let's say, for example, you're a manufacturing company, but you don't have like the capability to, let's say, manage your own, let's say, finance and accounting. So you wanted to hire a third party company who's the expert of doing that. So that's an example of business process outsourcing. So let's go to Africa. So it's bringing us to the map. It's saying that there are reports states that Kenya, Nigeria, and Madagascar are emerging as digital labor ecosystems for training, cleaning, and validating large language model data sets. These are just some of the examples that I built with AI. So just like Paige is already building with AI, I'm also building with AI as well. So we're actually talking about like a few weeks ago that maybe we can actually conduct like future like AI bootcamp sessions in the future. So I was thinking maybe it's a good idea. We can actually do it.
Like a 2 or 3 day
workshop. Yeah, hopefully I'm actually crossing my fingers with that this happens. So like what I told her that this is going to be a free workshop. What's important is we're actually supporting the cafe since this cafe is also our partner as well. But thank you so much actually. I know that there's a lot of questions, but I wanted to open like at least 2 questions for our audience who wanted to ask or are curious about what we're doing right now, or if you have questions about what we discussed earlier. Okay, there you go.
Your instructions are very detailed. Is there like a specific format that you would always use for the instructions, depending on whatever custom GPT you're creating?
Yeah, very good question. There's at least 3 things that I would say are non-negotiable. Number 1 is the role. You need to make sure that your custom AI assistant has your persona. Regardless of what type of niche or let's say expertise, it must have a clear role. Second is the task. What does your AI want it to do? Let's say, for example, you want your AI to generate a 4K Ultra HD image for your creatives, or let's say you wanted to ask like a travel guide or a specialized visa officer, and then also the format. Let's say, what do you want the format? Is it going to be like a bullet type for list, or is it going to be in numbers if you want your AI assistant to provide steps for you? Usually those are the non-negotiables, but there's a lot. Like there's what we call a create framework, like the character similar to the role. There's also a request, there's an example, there's a type of output, there's also constraint. Usually I use that method if like I'm creating or building something that's more complex or more complicated. Yeah, did I answer that question?
Yeah. And do you ever use a chatbot to help you create the instructions?
Yes, that's a good question. That's what we call meta prompting. We can also use those AI assistants to also build a prompt instruction for us as well. That's actually a very good question. Those are some of the things that I actually teach when it comes to prompt engineering and context engineering as well. And there's another question.
Sorry if I missed this and you covered it earlier. Which AI systems are you paying for, and do you have a system for not maxing out your tokens?
Yeah, good question. Actually, those three are paid versions. If you notice, like I mentioned earlier, if you don't see the custom GPT option or the Claude Projects, most likely you're on the free version. But if you're on the free version with Gemini and you see the gems, most likely it's already available. So the reason why I'm using I know it's actually a pain in the butt because you're paying roughly $60. In fact, in the Philippines, it's more expensive. Why? Because it's $20 plus 12% VAT. We have one of the highest VAT in Southeast Asia, I think in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why people are a little bit agitated. But the reason why I use those three subscriptions because I wanted to make sure that I fully understand their potential capabilities and limitations as well.
Yes, also how do you not maximize?
So in terms of how do I not maximize it, here's what I do. I'll give you an example. I can actually show you this, the desktop version. I know some of us already is familiar with Claude Code. So I use Claude Code to build web applications, just like the platform that I showed earlier. Usually I build it using agentic coding tools like Claude Code or OpenAI Codex. If you're on the desktop version, you can only see this if you're on the paid version. Now what I do is I use Gemini for planning, which is this one. Let's say for example, I want Gemini help. So let's say I describe my idea. Okay, so with my idea, I wanted to make sure, let's say, I wanted to build a web app. I wanted to, let's say, my web app must have a map on it, just like what I showed. So I need to understand which API of a map I'm going to show, because there are actually free maps that are being offered that I can use, like Map Libre. So that's one of the maps that I used. Then some are paid, and then which, let's say, if I wanted to, let's say, maximize an AI model that I can use to generate insights, which AI model I wanted to use. So let's say I've explored, I wanted to use DeepSeek's V4 Flash, or let's say I wanted to use Quartz 3.6 plus model. So it depends on me what I wanted to use. So I use Gemini for planning, all the context, all the ideas, and what I do is I create a technical documentation using Gemini. And what I do is I use Claude, I use that documentation to build my application with Claude Code. So this is where I upload the document. So that's how I'm able to manage token usage. But of course, sometimes it's unavoidable that sometimes we max out our tokens. So the best option that I use, I have to wait. Let's say, for example, I've already maxed out my tokens at, let's say, 5 p.m. So it will refresh roughly about after 2 hours. Since I'm using Claude Code and my code base is stored in my device, so I have no choice but I have to wait. So that's how I manage token consumption or token usage.
You could use DeepSeek in Claude Code using an API.
Yeah, yes, and you can use it. What you can do is, although this is for developer grade, so you can use DeepSeek. You can run it on a terminal using a terminal command. So it will ask you for the API key. So just to give you an API key stands for Application Programming Interface. So the purpose of that is to allow two or more platforms to actually talk and connect with each other or to work with each other. So an analogy is like you have a car and you have a key. So that API is your key. In order for that engine to actually work, you need to make sure you use the key. Now what happens next is, since API calls have cost on it, so you need a gas or electricity to run the vehicle itself. That's what we call the API consumption. So just to give you an idea. So does that answer your question, or would you like me to clarify?
Well, that's great. I was wondering if there's something that GPT fits in your world that you focus on.
In your world?
Yeah.
I would say GPTs have like more long context memory. So especially if you're, let's say, you wanted to, let's say, conduct a deep research. So GPT is very good when it comes to those kinds of tasks. But if you wanted to, let's say, maximize like more complex coding tasks, you're trying to build something like a more complicated architecture, then I would recommend Claude. But of course, you need to make sure that you already have your context. You can use Gemini if you wanted to manage your token consumption. I usually use Gemini or OpenAI's GPT for planning, and then I use Claude for execution. So,
quick question, follow up on GPTs. Because I use ChatGPT paid the $20, and I have my history activated, and I did a lot of prompting before about marketing and my business. In this moment, when I just test created with you an agent without like with just one line of instructions, he actually created perfectly my tone of voice and everything. So could we also use the history to simplify some of the prompting, or how does this influence?
Yeah, good question. Most likely because your memory is turned on. So
yes, it's on.
GPT understands like your tone, your context, your behavior based on how you ask questions or how you prompt in the past. That's actually very useful. So I would say I would recommend if you wanted to make sure that it's tailor fit on your needs, you can use that memory to continuously like GPT understands like how you write and what's your type of tone, something like that. I think there's a question.
Thank you.
I'm just going to continue this question. Is there an option to transfer your GPT memories to Claude? Because I don't want to use GPT anymore because it sucks. I feel like, it's been hallucinating more and more. It's been giving like really bad results more and more. So I feel like Claude is more stable. But there's so much history, as you say, that's very useful sometimes. Is there an option to transfer the customizable from the history to Claude?
Yeah, good question. Unfortunately, there's no option yet to transfer your memory, but you have the option to create your own custom assistants based on your knowledge. Let's say, for example, your behavior, your tone, everything about yourself. You can actually do that. So at the moment, those are some of the limitations right now. No, it's a different platform. The question here is, can I transfer my memory from, let's say, ChatGPT to Claude?
Excuse me, I think there is a way to do that.
Yeah.
I think there is a way to do that, to transfer memory from one LM to another one. You go down to settings, in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
There is a way where you can actually save your memory, download it, and put it onto any other.
Sorry, there you go. Sorry. So we go to settings. What's your name again?
My name is Anas.
Okay. Thank you, Anas.
Go down. I'm not sure. I've done it once, I forget exactly all the steps.
Yeah, it's for, okay, there you go. I think it's,
That's exactly that.
yeah, you can actually, thanks for the call out, yes, that's possible. I think
Can I just add on to that?
Yeah.
So it might have changed in the last month or so,
Yeah.
but I tried that
Yeah.
to import the resulting file into Claude, and it wasn't workable.
Yeah, that's possible. Yes, it's possible, but it could be yeah. There's
They want to
things.
make it-
Yeah,
Plain
to
text.
be honest, that's actually a great call out. So there's another question.
Yeah, I use in Gemini. I use a specific chat for my work, and it works great. And then suddenly, in the middle, it kind of forgets our work pattern, and I need to remind it. So is that connected to what you said to the memory, or is there any way to avoid this, or is that
Yeah.
just like how it works?
Good question. I actually